When it comes to different ways to manage our careers, there are a number of different frameworks we can consider. Here we consider a two-dimensional framework. The first is a values-driven dimension. So this means we use our internal values, what's important to you as an individual, what makes you, you, and use these values then to provide guidance in terms of where we want to go, what you want to do, and also how you define success. The second part is the self-directed dimension, and this focuses on the ability and a motivation. The question here is, do you have this ability? And do you have the motivation in terms of how you're able to perform or what skills you develop based on the learning demands? In case that you don't have the skill, the question then becomes, will you invest the time to further develop it and make it part of your repertoire or not? This type of career is great for individuals to test their skills and ultimately get an accurate perception of their skills and interests. In doing so, you are better able to identify your strengths and points for improvement, so you can see where you would actually like to grow. Based on these two dimensions, you can then decide for 4 different types of careers. First is a more dependent career. So that means I'm not really using my own internal values to dictate what I want to do and how I want to do it. Rather, what I'm doing is I'm guided by what is important to the organization or what opportunities are actually presented to me. In that way, it's not also self-directed, so I'm not looking for opportunities actively, but maybe they're within the company or they're suggested to me. Then there are rigid careers. So these are values driven. So I am doing things that interest me or are important to me, but I'm not necessarily using opportunities or being proactive and seeking new ideas because I'm letting the opportunities come to me. Third, there's the reactive approach. So that means I'm not really interested in finding work that's connected with my internal values or helping me to fulfill my personal goals, but rather I see opportunities in front of me, or I see an opportunity to achieve something or learn something, and I react to it once it's there. And finally, we have what's called the protean career, which is considered also transformational because it brings about a change in you such that it helps you fulfill your personal values and something that you can initiate and actually go after. So it's got the 2 dimensions here. So now beyond this 2-dimensional framework, there's another framework called the boundaryless career. This framework focuses on how we identify with a certain job or profession. So this is independent of company or organization, is more closely tied to how we see ourselves. For example, as a professor, the multiple roles of researcher, teacher, or mentor that make up my identity, I maintain this identity regardless of which university I work at. In that sense, there are no organizational boundaries around what's possible, but rather open and many different paths. Within this framework, there are 2 key aspects that make the boundaryless career possible. One is physical mobility, which means I am flexible in terms of where I am working, maybe even what industry I'm working with. Maybe I work in an organization, or maybe rather I transition to a self-employment model. Then we have psychological mobility, which captures an orientation or a mindset. So this is a general preference that I have maybe to work with people outside of my organization. So again, looking at my role as a professor, my research teams are distributed across the globe, such that 90% of my research teams sit somewhere else in the world than where I sit. This allows me to be exposed to different people and have the opportunity to work with people from different backgrounds. And so a boundaryless career is one that is not necessarily bound by one organization, but is one where you look for collaborations and new experiences and opportunities also outside of the conventional career path. People who have had this mindset are generally satisfied with the progress of their career because they are collecting these new experiences along the way. They are also able to secure higher wages and promotions given the skills and competitive advantage afforded by such experiences. In this way, feeling that you are the master of your own destiny can have implications both for your career and for your earning potential.